Out with the old and in with the new. It's time to save big at Room to Room's New Year's sale. Store-wide markdowns 50 to 70% off. No tax. 48-month special financing. It's a new year at Room to Room Furniture in Tupelo. There's no place like home.
At First Choice Bank, we know you can't always make it before the bank closes. With our integrated teller, you can talk to a live person as late as 7 p.m. on weekdays and noon on Saturdays. It's not just an ATM, it's an ITM. First Choice Bank, your choice for banking.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Hello, the Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon alongside our meteorologist Gabe Maynard. Thank you so much for joining us for Mississippi Live Weather at 6 on this Thursday. A cold week that gets colder into the weekend, and as dangerous cold returns, we have to plan accordingly because unfortunately this bitter cold will probably be every bit as cold as what we had earlier this week. And considering so many Mississippians don't have power, if you are one of those folks tonight, be making your plans on where else you might go. Because I know we have some folks that have options to go someplace else. Now we need to be making those plans. Some flakes are possible with this next system, but impacts are not expected to be significant. And we'll tell you who are the some that those refer to. But overnight, as you can see here on our hour forecast, 37 at 7, we're 32 by 10. Here is a little bit of moisture. And as we referenced, the possibility for a couple of isolated flakes possible. But again, very little moisture for anything to work off of. But it is going to be cold-ish, but the real cold is what falls in behind this storm system. And that's where our concerns come from. Joining me this evening here is the emergency manager from there in Alcorn County, Evan Gibbons. Thank you so much for joining us on Mississippi Live Weather here at 6. I know that new information coming out from your county, some positive efforts, but unfortunately some things that aren't so good.
Yes, sir. Unfortunately, I can confirm we have had another death. The ME's office has told me that it's carbon monoxide.
Hey, Evan, I think I lost you. His cell phone signal was starting to go down a minute ago, and I don't know if we end up losing him there. But you heard for a moment he was able to confirm, unfortunately, another death in the Alcorn County area. We're going to give him a second to see if that comes back. His cell phone signal was getting kind of low, so I think that might have lost him there. So I'll bring it back up here for just a second, see if we can give him a moment to come back around. Evan has been obviously very busy with a lot of other things. Some of the other things we talked about, of course, National Guard making it there into the Alcorn County area today. The help, definitely thankful there. Evan, it kind of cut out on you a moment ago there. I don't know if that was just battery or what exactly, but go ahead. You just started saying, you mentioned that there was a fatality, unfortunately.
Yes, sir. Unfortunately, the ME's office has confirmed that they have another fatality in the county, potentially due to carbon monoxide poisoning from alternative heat sources. They confirmed that 100%, but that's what it's looking like at this time, which brings me to another point. If you are using alternative heat sources, please be very mindful of that. Carbon monoxide poisoning can to you really quickly. So it is something that you need to be very, very much on watch for and have a CO2 detector that's working or that doesn't require, obviously. So please, again, I cannot stress that enough. That is something that you drastically need to be mindful of.
So you mentioned alternative heat sources there. And the way I describe it is really anytime you're burning anything, burning wood, if not properly ventilated, burning propane, kerosene, when that burning process happens, it removes oxygen from the air as part of the burning, and then carbon monoxide is a byproduct of that. And so you just, with every breath, have less oxygen until you pass out.
Correct. That is correct, sir. I do have some positive news. We have had more resources arrive. State resources have come in.
Evan is a very, very busy man, and certainly has been taking a lot of phone calls. We're going to give him a second. Go ahead. So you said you've had some resources arrive, and I know you're in and out here. So you've had some resources arrive.
Man, I'm
Can you hear me?
sorry. I'm sorry, sir. I have multiple phone calls, so that's my apologies there. So I'll be
Hey,
very
you know what?
brief.
Yeah, go for it.
We have had resources come in. We've got water. We've got food here. We're working on getting those pushed out to the community right now at this time. I do still have around 100 individuals sheltered. We're working on getting those back rehomed as their power comes back home. I do have medical staff on site now to deal with our medical needs residents. So we do have some things, on the better side of Alcorn County.
Absolutely. I mean, those are all positive things. Do we think that do we have people are still trapped in their homes, or do we think we've got to the point where everyone we need to try to get to that wants to get out has that opportunity?
We are still working on clearing debris to gain entry for driveways and things. As far as individuals trapped in immediate danger, unless they've not been reported to us, I do not have any knowledge of those situations at this time.
Good. That's great to hear. Anything else you want to add?
Not at the moment, sir. Appreciate you and everything y'all's team does for us in North Mississippi. And if I can just still relay a message to Mississippi and all of our Alcorn County residents, hang in there. Every day is a step closer to getting back to normal.
It really is. And thank you and your entire staff up there, and just the men and women, the linemen, the police force, and now, of course, the National Guard and all the folks for continuing to help out. We appreciate them so much. Evan Gibbons is the emergency manager there up in Alcorn County. Thank you so much for joining us here on Mississippi Live. Let us know if you have anything else to report. We appreciate it. Again, as we resume our broadcast here in the Room to Room Weather Center, unfortunately, recapping one of the things that Evan mentioned a moment ago there, he can confirm now one additional fatality due to what they don't 100% know, but they feel fairly confident is carbon monoxide poisoning. And that would happen as a person's trying to heat their home with something other than the main heat source it probably came with. And the carbon monoxide is a gas that occurs as a byproduct of burning something. And it is a colorless, odorless gas that, essentially you get a headache from. You start to feel kind of sick. We were described last week by the folks at IMPC as you have the flu, but you don't have a fever. And unfortunately, that fatality has occurred. So that would take our statewide total up to 15 fatalities at this point here. So sad to hear that. And hopefully that number doesn't go up because cold weather advisories in effect for all locations. And we do have what are called the extreme cold warnings. Those are in effect for most locations as we look into this weekend. You might ask, well, why not up here north? Still waiting on the Weather Service Memphis on the way this works out. They have different criteria for different locations and different warnings, but the takeaway should be temperatures are going to be very, very cold and dangerously cold this upcoming weekend, so we have to plan accordingly. So while we have this big red line coming in here, a warm front trying to settle in, this is associated with a quick-moving storm system. Now, behind this storm system is just a ton of cold air that this is going to tap into. Tomorrow's the day of transition. We're mild-ish in the morning, probably upper 20s to maybe mid-20s for morning lows. So about as warm as we've been for low temperatures all week long. But the cold air is not far behind it, and it is pouring in behind this system. And as you can see, just looking at the arrows there, there's tons of those coming out of the north. And as that cold spills on in, we're going to be talking about teens for lows and probably below zero wind chills by early morning on your Saturday, perhaps also for Sunday as well. So over the course of the next 24 hours from 28 in the morning, a limited chance for a couple of flakes for early tomorrow, maybe just a little bit of drizzle out there, not a lot of meaningful moisture with this. Quick moving system there, not expecting significant impacts from it, hopefully, as there's just not a ton of moisture to work off of. Gabe and I'll talk about more here in a minute. We're 32 by 9 a.m., 39 by noon, and 40 for the high. But look how quickly things drop. Our morning temperature only down to 28, but by 9 p.m. tomorrow, we're down to 24 as those temperatures really plummet into the evening and overnight time period. We will look at just how cold those wind chills get throughout the whole weekend so you can plan accordingly. But I think the reality we need to address right now and here is this. Things have melted a little bit the last couple of days. As you heard Evan mention a moment ago, Evan Gibbons, the emergency manager there in Alcorn County, that everybody who has reached out to be helped out to get wherever their location is, they've been able to get to and bring out. So if you make this assessment and you look at these temperatures here in a minute and you say, that's too cold for me, before we have another fatality situation on our hands, let's be calling the proper people to help us get out. More on how far that temperature drops as Mississippi Live Weather continues here from the Room to Room Weather Center right after this.
Frozen pipes can cause serious damage. That's why Absolute Restoration is giving away free faucet covers to our community while supplies last. Installing them is easy. Just slide the foam sleeve over your outdoor faucet and secure it snugly. Also remember to disconnect hoses, open cabinet doors under sinks, and let faucets drip during extreme cold. Call or text to check availability, and from our family to yours, please stay warm and protected.
As a bankruptcy firm, Mitchell, Cunningham, and Bowling realizes many people are worried about their finances. We're here to guide you through the next steps to restart your life with easy video appointments. New clients don't have to leave home to get information about becoming debt-free. Also, convenient in-office appointments are available at the low cost of $340 upfront for a Chapter 13. You can be on your way to being debt-free. Contact Mitchell, Cunningham, and Bowling today or visit our website at mcdebtfree.com. We are here to help you.
This portion of Mississippi Live Weather is presented by Little's Jewelers.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's Mississippi's Chief Meteorologist, Matt Lovhawn.
Some amazing weather pictures coming in from our weather watchers across North Mississippi. You're watching Mississippi Live Weather. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lovhawn. Current time is right around 6:12 p.m. Pictures from, again, some frosty looks in some locations here across North Mississippi of the sunrise this morning. Unfortunately, still a lot of pictures like this with people trying to travel down the roads and the roads being completely, or at least partially blocked by a lot of tree limbs and things of that nature, especially closer to the Tennessee state line. This is what's left of a fairly tall tree. Looks like it was probably some kind of cedar tree there, completely kind of ripped to pieces with the ice and the weight related to that. But, you know, when you think about it, it's crazy to think that this is still how roads look for northern Tippah County, Tishomingo County, Alcorn County, and some of these back roads there. Nice to see the sunrise. Quite a few pictures of that beautiful shot this morning sent in, and we appreciate all the folks for sending those in. You can share your pictures with us as well. Just make sure to drop that picture here in the Mississippi Live Weather app. Probably the easiest way to do that. Get the app for iOS and Android devices, and there's a place right in there where you can share your weather photographs right with us. And we appreciate everyone who has done such a great job of that over the course of this week. You can also join the conversation where the chat ongoing on Facebook, on YouTube there, and a lot of folks talking about that. Again, it's a colorless, odorless gas when we're talking about anytime inefficient combustion is occurring. I appreciate Andy Riley for mentioning that there. That's where we get that CO2. That's what unfortunately led to the loss of life there in Alcorn County with the person, again, one person confirmed to have died, and they believe CO2 intake is the reason for, CO, carbon monoxide intake is the reason for that. And as you can see, high temperatures. These are high temperatures this weekend. As warm as we get, 35. More like only 20s, feeling like teens on your Saturday. We'll look at those wind chills here in just a moment. We also have our high school basketball game of the week, again, presented by Casey Lott. And we appreciate Casey Lott so much for sponsoring this. I know he's based out of the Boonville area. Boonville hit so hard up there. So our thoughts and prayers continue with them as well. Our game of the week between Houston and Shannon. And so excited to be able to have some folks, go there and kind of check out that game. I'll be perfectly honest. I am probably not going to make this one because unfortunately it has shifted to Saturday night. And so I'm probably not going to make it down there for the game this week. Got to get a little bit of rest in case things, ratchet back up and extend it. But either way, 25 their first tip game, 26 by halftime, and 25 degrees, the final buzzer of that one. Again, excited for our Mississippi Live Game of the Week presented by Casey Lott. 27 your pickup temperature on Friday for those going to school, 40 by drop-off in the afternoon. And that percentage there, that's one of the things we're watching. How much moisture do we have? Do we have maybe a little bit of a wintry mix? As you can see on Futurecast here, we do depict just a little bit of that. Now, you got to go back into Arkansas initially here for this kind of quick moving low. And I'll kind of position it. We're looking straight down on this for a second. And if you look closely, just a little bit of kind of pink and blue and green right below the center of this. So this is not anywhere near what we just came off of. This falls into the, well, I mean, it's not impossible category to see a little bit of moisture. I'll show you a different version of Futurecast here in a second. This is my newest version of Futurecast I can show you, but it runs out of data tomorrow morning. The HRRR, which you see above my head, that runs each hour of the day, but 4 times a day at noontime, 6 p.m., midnight, and 6 a.m. It runs longer. That's what we're going to show you in a second, and that has more precipitation on it. But I think you can see the trend, as we showed you that a second ago, didn't have much on it. The trend is downward on precip. It's still looking at temperatures, upper 20s. This is not warm if you still don't have power out here in Grenada or Greenwood or Water Valley and Oxford. We'll look at some of those power outages here in a minute, but they still remain pretty substantial. 25 in Bruce, 25 in Houston there, and 27 Starkville, Columbus, 28 degrees in Amory for those low temperatures tomorrow morning. See how this has way more in the way of blue and green on there? This is that change I was talking about. We go from the newest high resolution projection that runs out of data in the morning, and we pick it up with kind of the newest longer range that was actually from noontime today. So 6 hours newer, the trend has been down on precip, but not impossible maybe to have a couple of flakes with this as it comes in. This is not going to cause any significant travel disruptions out there for tomorrow. If you see it, it's like, is that what I'm looking at? And the answer is, yeah, that's what you're looking at. This is nowhere near what we just went through. As we progress throughout your Friday, northerly winds. See these pick up behind this? Those northerly winds, very cold air behind it, and that's what gets those temperatures down into the teens for lows and below zero for wind chills. But for your Friday, high temperatures, notice cooler up here. South Haven, we show about 32, 33 Tunica, 37 Oxford, 42 for Bruce, as well as Starkville, and 43 degrees in the Louisville area. That's closer to our normal, but still significantly below it. As we head into Friday night, again, those north winds continue to drag in the cool air, cold air, and maybe 1 or 2 little flakes, not an impossibility on this cloud cover as it settles into through the area. But as you'll note here on our HRRR model, less in the way of those. But right there, couple little flakes, not an impossibility. Tishomingo County, back there closer to the Alabama state line with this. Now, I think there's just not a lot of moisture to work with. So we're going to wring out the last few of those flakes if we're able to see anything out of this at all. This is the real story. Actual low temperatures on Saturday morning in the teens. I mean, this is why we're saying if you live in some of these affected areas where you don't have power, Grenada, Greenwood, Water Valley has gotten better in town, but Yalobusha County in the county is a different story. That's coming along, but it's a slow process. Lafayette County, Union County, Pontotoc, Marshall, Benton, Tippah, Alcorn, Prentiss, Tishomingo. The reason I took the time to point out and specifically say all of these counties, teens for lows, and then high temperatures on Saturday, they're only probably in the lower 20s. That could be killer cold, especially if you're heating with an alternative heat source. And in many cases, that probably is okay. But if that's not properly vented to the outside, that could be a killer. Wind chill temperatures are below zero here for, half of the area. What it feels like to exposed skin is going to be down to -1 there in Water Valley, -3 in Oxford, -3 in New Albany. So with temperatures this cold, there are a lot of warming shelters that have been established here across North Mississippi. Gabe, if you could grab the Storm Chasers link and we'll throw that into the chat there so people have that. The North Mississippi Storm Chasers have been keeping a pretty comprehensive list of the warming shelters across North Mississippi. In some cases, like Tippah County, those have been converted over to Red Cross shelters. But strongly consider going to one of those because, again, morning low Saturday morning in the teens, wind chills below zero, and then high temperatures Saturday that are going to be probably only lower 20s. That is cold enough that it would make sense to be someplace warmer. And if you don't want to go to a warming shelter, find a friend, a family member, and try to spend both Friday night and Saturday night there until this extreme cold passes. Saturday, again, north winds continue, maybe squeezing out a rogue flake, but mostly dry conditions here. Our hybrid strike model has a little less cloud cover here once we go into the afternoon, but you'll notice really nothing much in the way of precipitation. But see these arrows all strong from the north and west. That is that strong wind that will keep the wind chills cold. and continue bringing in colder and colder air as we go throughout the day. So high temperatures, we're only 24 there in South Haven, Senatobia 25 there in Tunica, 25 in Clarksdale. It's 28 Grenada and Eupora, and 26 degrees in Tupelo, 28 in Amory, well below the 55 we should be for this time of year. And afternoon wind chill temperatures. Single digits up here, Boonville, Corinth, Iuka, Red Bay. Be praying for those folks still trying to get the power on. This is brutal to try to do that. It's been rough conditions most of this week, but this is going to be really, really cold on Saturday for everybody involved, including any of us to try to go out and about and do anything. And low temperatures back down there again, single digits we show for Holly Springs, Senatobia, South Haven, back to Tunica, 11 there in Oxford, 10 in Water Valley, and 11 in Grenada. So both of these weekend mornings, cold enough that we could have fatalities if people don't respect it. Either they don't have an alternative heat source and they're just trying to tough it out in this cold. This is as extreme, if not colder, than what we just came off of earlier this week. And then if they are toughing it out and they have an alternative heat source, just make sure it's properly vented to the outside, because we do believe we've had at least one carbon monoxide death. And I think there's probably others out there, but hopefully that's not the case. And then wind chill temperatures on your Sunday morning, more manageable. Still, if you have early church on Sunday, we're talking it feeling like single digits. That's going to be cold. 7-day forecast here, 26 all we manage for the high on your Saturday, 35 Sunday. Those low temperatures, more manageable, still chilly, still cold, still, I'm saying this from the inside of an electrified, heated home, but less cold. This is high danger. This is still dangerous with those low 20s there, but we're 40s by Monday afternoon, working on the thaw, and then by Tuesday, we're upper 40s there with limited chances for rainfall starting to come back into next week. And yes, I say rainfall. Look at these temperatures. They kind of flirt with the freezing point there, but should hopefully be above freezing. This is nowhere near the setup we just came off of, even if we were to get something a little cooler. Notice, though, how those high temperatures, again, more than 10 degrees above the freezing point. Now, coming up here in 60 seconds, we're going to look at a few things related to that. I think Gabe's going to be talking also about the drought monitor here, and we'll be answering some of your questions as we're trying to kind of look at where the power reestablishment sits as of Thursday evening. That's as Mississippi Live Weather continues here from the Room to Room Weather Center right after this.
When you've been injured, don't settle for a lawyer who doesn't even know where you live. Call Langston and Lott. Local lawyers, personal service, real results.
I have been going to Tupelo Smiles my whole life. When I was a kid, I was unhappy about some uneven coloring on my teeth after getting my braces off, which at the time there really wasn't a fix. I was recently made aware of a solution that would totally fix it, which is exactly what we did. They not only heard my concerns, but they never stopped looking to solve my problem, and that's why I love Tupelo Smiles.
We've talked a lot about some parts here in North Mississippi and West Mississippi continuing to see the number of power outages decrease, but they remain still very significant. Everything red on this map here is at least 50% of these counties without power still at this time. So unfortunately, that is a very high number for many of you that would typically watch us that might be displaced from this. I know you have questions about the updates on that. And in talking again to these emergency managers, it is a slow and steady process, but I still believe that many folks, we're talking still weeks before things are reestablished. I think a good example of that, you start looking at some of the hardest hit locations, like up here in Alcorn County. Alcorn County Electric still showing 8,700 members without power. And that entire map behind me is an example of all those. Another hard hit area, Lafayette County. And as we talked about during our 5 o'clock broadcast there, 8 Days of Hope is going to be deploying there starting Saturday. Again, a nonprofit that's based here in North Mississippi with national connections. They will be working to help the recovery efforts in the Lafayette County area. And when you look at this map here, a lot of these are individual outages. And so each one of these requires someone coming, making and just doing all the things it takes to get the power back on, from getting tree branches out of where they need to go so that they can get a clear run, sometimes having to rerun some of the wires. We established it at the weatherhead at the top. So there's just so many things that they have to do, and that takes time. Times all of those, it makes, again, a huge impact, a huge difference there. Checking out the folks in Tallahatchie County Electric Tallahatchie Valley, I should say. Map not loading, but we're still showing about 16,000 members, I should say, without power on 740 individual outages. So just very substantial numbers there. Tippah County Electric still looking at 11,000 customers without power there, at least as of the latest update coming in here. Still very large numbers of power outages there. We do show in Prentiss County, we're down now to about 2,400, which is a substantial improvement percentage-wise there. Tishomingo County, and that number for specifically Tishomingo County. And the reason I go to these electric cooperative sites is you can see a couple of things here. You can also see, again, the trend over time. Again, when that TVA line was reconnected there, a sharp drop-off for all the folks that had already kind of seen the drop-off, and now things again getting better, but it's a very slow process on the reconnections. For the folks throughout the Delta here, Entergy serves so many of you. Greenville, again, a lot of folks, Greenwood, I should say, still a lot of folks without power there. I'm sorry, that was wrong. That's Monroe there for a moment. Let me get back up here. There we go. It's hard to read through the map there. Greenville, largely better. Greenwood, somewhat. But I mean, you get up here toward Grenada, and there's still a lot of outlying areas there in Grenada County, some in Montgomery, back into parts of Choctaw County and Tala County, and then back in there, Carroll County, where they've just, unfortunately, Holmes County, a pretty significant number of outages as well. So it's a slow process, unfortunately. Natchez Trace Electric Power Cooperative down to 500 outages there, so great to see that. Fort County Electric, as you can see here, this is probably a new outage this evening for some of those spots there, but I saw a ton of Fort County trucks heading north to help out folks in North Mississippi. So again, once they got theirs largely under control, most of them headed northward to take care of that. Tom Bigby is down to 29 outages, so again, some tremendous improvement there. And Pontotoc Electric Power Cooperative Association, I should say there. Again, fairly large number at 4,900, but they hit very, very hard. So some folks have seen massive improvements. Others, it's more measured. All are working extremely hard. And Gabe, none of them want to see anything else that could be tricky coming down the pipeline here. I see that you have some blue stuff on your map there, talking about that kind of, I guess, overnight chance as far as tonight and tomorrow is concerned. Unimpressed?
Unimpressed, for sure, and definitely trending in the right direction, but we'll assess this in a little bit more detail here in the Room to Room Weather Center. What I have right here is basically a look at one of our forecast models, our short-range forecast models. We call it the NAM 3K, and that's one of our high-resolution models that we can showcase as well. So as we populate this in, of course, this is the last look at the last couple of model runs from the 11Z hour, which is around 5 a.m. And as you can see, that first model run on the 28th was definitely a little bit higher on that confidence. As we track those trends over time, you can see how, yes, there is still some moisture there, but the positioning of it all over the place. And even then, I mean, the latest model run continuing to show practically nothing. And the thing with this forecast is, even if I go back to one of these models that have some of that winter precip in there, a big thing that Matt and I were talking about between the 5 and the 6 is the fact that our upper air analysis is not overly high on that winter precip, because that DGZ, that dendritic growth zone, which forms those snowflakes, it's not saturated, meaning the flakes aren't exactly in the forecast. But one of the things that we were talking about was you may get, a potential half-built snowflake. Matt called it a snowflake, if that is applicable. But as that kind of works its way down into the atmosphere, we do have a saturated sounding down beneath, but still a very dry atmosphere that it's battling as it heads through the entire upper air. So once it reaches the surface, is there even enough saturated air for it to stick around? That's one of the questions getting into this forecast, and we're hopeful that that continues to be no in our answer. Even if we take a look at our HRRR model, we're going to take this run by run as well. This is a look at the 28th around 12Z, specifically looking at 6 a.m. on our Friday. If you watch these trends over time, you can see how it did start to mix in some of these flakes into the forecast, but once we got into these latest model runs, you can see non-existent. This is up to the latest hour on the, let me check and make sure at the top of the page. Yeah, we're on the 29th at 22Z. So this is, again, that shorter range that it covers, but still gives you that latest outlook on that detail. And Matt, one of the things that we're seeing on this latest trend, I mean, even if we take it back just a couple, like, yes, there's some snow. And this is the 18Z model that we were looking at just a moment ago. If we update that on the 22Z, nothing there. So confidence decreasing in some of those flakes. We do think that a few are possible, but impactful, no. Dusting, even those chances looking very minimal.
Absolutely. Appreciate that, Gabe. We'll talk about a drought monitor with you here in just a moment. In fact, we'll come right back to you for that here in just a second. I want to bring it back over here, and as we kind of come back to where I'm at here, here's a shot of the power outages. We had to kind of dig around to find some cameras working along I-22. Someone was asking in the chat about I-22, and again, you can join the conversation on our chat there. As I'll kind of transition that back behind me. But traffic in some cases moving somewhat, but we do show, again, the I-22 at Red Banks here, according to the Mississippi Department of Transportation site, and that's what we're looking at here and showing you, does show that it is at this point, road is blocked and closed, at least at that point there in both directions. It does look on this like perhaps the eastbound lanes are in better shape, but that does look like a fairly substantial block of, road closure there along I-22, still showing up there from basically the first Holly Springs exit if you're heading back northwest, up closer to still the Victoria exit. And it does look like there are parts of I-22 up there into the Memphis area that do show up at this point here as, at least on their site, as blocked off. I'm going to hit refresh on this, make sure that I've got the latest data on that, because I'm not sure if that still shows up correct. So despite the fact that it looks like there's some spots there where travel could be occurring, I think probably just trying to make sure it stays clear. The reason why that they are describing as that. Gabe, go ahead and take over links for a second here so that you can pull up. Actually, I'll pull it up for you. I'll pull up the look at the drought monitor, which came out today. You might say, okay, we've had some moisture, and moisture does help, even if it's snowfall, for the drought conditions. But Gabe, kind of looking at this here, it has been.
Oh, do I need to head over there to the Weather Center? Okay, bringing it back here to the Room to Room Weather Center, what we're looking at is drought monitor. And as Matt was saying, we've had a good bit of moisture, and this is as good as the drought monitor has looked in quite some time. And we're tracking right along 45, where there's not a single bit of drought in the forecast, and even along parts of 82, all the way up until Greenwood, Greenville, and Cleveland, we're still sitting with minimal to practically no drought monitor there. We do still have that level 3 drought for parts of Clarksdale and over around Batesville, but nonetheless, as we continue to look at that trend over time, I mean, if you want to go back 24 hours and get last week's drought monitor, we had that yellow encompassing a large portion of North Mississippi, now receding, and a large part of that drought monitor now up there towards Northwest Mississippi. Now, one of the things that Matt and I were talking about, is ice that's still on the ground in the forecast. And while it's not ideal at any point, we do not want ice in the forecast. What it will do is, as it melts over time, add some of that moisture to the ground and to the soil that may perhaps take away some of that level 3 drought in Clarksdale, maybe even that level 1 drought across the Tennessee state line. And so drought monitor, we expect to recede just a bit as that ice melts and some of that snow clears from the ground. And hopefully that's sooner rather than later. But as that kind of disperses over time, that'll kind of take away these drought conditions. So Matt, it's not a positive to have snow on the ground or ice on the ground at any point. But the good thing is that it will take away drought. No, and we don't want it at all, especially with the lives that are being lost, the lives that are impacted along I-22 and I-55. We do not want that at any point in our lives, and hopefully it's a long, long time before we experience it again. But with all the moisture in the forecast has taken away some of those drought conditions, and with some of that melting that we're hoping takes place very soon and very quickly, we'll take away some of these conditions as well.
Absolutely. If you would like to support us here, Mississippi Live Weather, we appreciate that. We're, of course, watching your comments there in the background. One of the best ways to probably do that is to pick up the Mississippi Live Weather app. It's free and available for all of those different devices there. For iOS, below me, you can see that QR code, and below Gabe over there, you can see that one as well. We've been trying to keep you updated as things continue to progress with power restoration, in some cases rescues, and unfortunately with the fatality count, which now stands at 15 from this winter weather system, we hope that number doesn't go higher. And with a cold weekend on the way, it remains a possibility that it could. So I want to go back and rehash one part of this forecast one more time here, and that is the fact that temperatures remain extremely cold this upcoming weekend. Look at low temperatures for tomorrow night, as you can see there behind Gabe, and I'll bring it again behind me here, expected to be down there into the teens and practically single digits for some spots. I mean, come on, we're looking at 11 there, Water Valley and Bruce, 13 for Houston. This remains extremely cold for what we typically expect for this time of the year. And considering so many people are still without power, it remains dangerous cold. And wind chill temperatures will probably be below zero for most locations, if not at best case scenario, maybe approaching the 0 degree point, as if any of us would say best with that. So this is dangerous cold. Plan accordingly. Make sure you know where you will shelter, because if you just leave this to chance, it could end very, very badly, because low temperatures early morning on Sunday are probably once again going to be in the low teens and upper single digits. So like Pitter Pat there on YouTube is saying, be safe, be kind, pray for each other, and check on your people. Check on the elderly in particular. Hopefully we've already done that over the course of this week, but those that have been without power all week long, you might try to convince them, hey, it might be a good idea to come over to our place just to try to keep everybody warm. I know that sometimes is a very, very difficult thing to try to convince people to do, but certainly we want to be smart and as safe as we can. Our next live broadcast is going to be coming up at 10 p.m. tonight. Our meteorologist, Gabe Maynard, he's going to be updating you on the latest on where and how that precipitation chance, those chances for maybe a few flakes, how that's evolving. We've seen the trend downward. Does the trend continue? You'll have the very latest updates on that at 10 p.m. tonight. Our meteorologist, Maggie McCauley, will be looking at things tomorrow morning. You can always check her updates out every day, Monday through Friday, at starting at 6:30 a.m. So she'll be on with any issues with that on Mama Justice Doppler Radar, 6:30, 7:30 a.m. here in the Room to Room Weather Center. So check her out for the very latest. Always a good time. One of the sweetest people we ever meet, and does a great job for us talking about weather. She's going to be freezing up there in Senatobia, as it's been the case, colder in the northwest part of the state all week long in Tate County. We appreciate her for braving that cold air as she has. We'll see you come up tonight at 10.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. You know, we knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Lopon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Lopon has proven himself trustworthy.